Rockville Destroyer. I don't want to pull the boot off, but I think that's two 1-inch slugs, which is not quite tall enough to really put a long, 60 millimeter, 70 millimeter coil in the gap. So I went with a 50 millimeter copper, so it plays low. There's the part number from lower to base. That's actually the PE Precision Econowind part number. But sometimes if you contact Precision Econowind and you give them that part number, they're like, hey, that belongs to another client. And so you have to come up with your own part number, which is not that hard. But just so you know. But it's a dual 2. And then we got to, oops. We're going to go ahead and pull the clamps off today. And then we are going to drill in the little window and do a little bolty bolt right there. So it gets bolted down. And then we're going to remove these little solder tabs. And we're just going to bolt. I think we ran out of boots. I got some from Recoil yesterday. We're going to go ahead and bolt those in place and then also straighten these. So because they're a little, they're not supposed to move, but they're moving. So, and you can, I don't know if you can see that 2 in there. I wrote that 2 on there. But it's a dual 2 copper. But yeah, this frame is actually super strong. It's not removable. And it actually fits a 10-inch spider. So, and then I'm going to do the GONZO cone on it. It is a standard 3-inch though, 3-inch gap. I didn't get the gap dimensions, but at least you know that that coil fits. So that will give you some, again, it has the big spider, but the motor's not tall enough to use, like say our GONZO coil. So you don't want to use something that's super tall. It's one of those things where, yes, it uses a 10-inch spider, but it doesn't really fully utilize it. They could have got away with using an 8-inch spider, is what I'm saying. But they didn't, so that's fine. But I think that was it. It's a good woofer. I think it's a little overpriced right now, but what it's really good for is you cut that boot off. I don't think there's any badging on the back. No, there is. Okay, so this is the one with, they did engraving on it, so you don't want to use this one. This one's not good for resale unless, or rebadging, unless you want to put a decal that covers that. And you can get like a little puffy foam decal to cover that if you want. So, but again, that's an option. Somebody was asking me the other day, they're like, why? Well, what they were asking about was they had, what did they have? They had 2 EVL 18-inch Scar subs. And I like that particular sub because all it has is a decal on the back, a very small little triangle decal that you can just take off, and then you remove the boot and the whole thing is fucking blank. Use a carbon fiber cap to cover the other cap, and then now the badge is removed. And the reason why I do that is because if you just try to sell it as a used EVL, you cannot sell it for more than what Scar is selling it for. So, and that's only if you want to make a profit on this. If you don't want to make a profit, then just buy used equipment and resell it. You're not going to make any money, but that's what you want to do. But if you want to actually make money, you have to control the narrative of what the price should cost for this device. And so if you keep that Rockville boot on there, you can only sell it for whatever Rockville sells it for. So they control the price. So then your quest then becomes, how do I get this Rockville sub for less than what you can buy it for on the market? And that's like impossible. That's the impossible task. So the only way to do that is to go to China, which if you're going to go to China, you might as well get your own branded. I think it's only like $450, $500 to tool up your brand, your logo into the boot. So, and then you could probably get this whole woofer made from Jin Lita for, I don't know, let's say $100 shipped, and then you can sell it for $300 or $400, which is what I think Rockville sells it for. So that's if you just want to make money. But again, that's why I hope that there's enough incentive in place with the Blackjack Audio brand. Again, we're not going to put Blackjack Audio on the brand. I haven't even found a good logo to put on it, or even had one made. Because again, I want to sell it blank so that you can brand it, so that you can control the narrative. You know, when you compare this to say, something like, say, a 13W7, 13W7 goes for $1,900. So if that's the benchmark for something of this performance, which is about 2,000 RMS, all you have to do is be cheaper than $1,800, which is easy, because your production cost on it is about $100 each. But you got to buy 100 of them, so that's 10 grand. So you got 10 grand into this one woofer, and then you got to sell that one woofer. So, and also, one of the things that makes a brand like JL powerful is not necessarily the look or the, you know, styling. It's getting people to vouch for you. And the way that they vouch for that brand is because they're making money, because everybody's on the take. So I actually had some really cool meditative dreams last night that I want to share some ideas with you guys that sort of relate back to everything that I've been talking about with what I'm doing with Robot. Again, this is stuff that you guys can do yourself if you just have the balls to stand up and be willing to be yelled at by people like Tony DeMore and Steve Mead and who's that dipshit redhead? What's his name? Something Scott Dilbeck. Scott Dilbeck, Jacob Fuller. You know, all these people that are quote unquote successful. You got to understand that their success comes from stepping on other people's necks. That's where their success comes from. Their success comes from buying a LOC in China that cost, you know, under $2 to make, and they're selling it for $150. That's where their money comes from. So, the good thing for you, hang on, let me yell at Dave. I gotta yell at him to take a break. So I can make this fucking video for you guys. If that's the standard, right? All you have to do is undercut them. And they go, wow, that's the race to zero. And you're like, good, let's go for it. I think that race to zero stuff is bullshit. And I've heard Big D talk about it. And again, he makes his money because of the fluff. Because of, you know, it's like when people love Apple stock. Apple is like one of the most evil companies. Because again, they make all their money stepping on people's necks. And so when you buy Apple stock, you're depending on the foolishness and the gullibility of the public that buys their products. That's what you're betting on. That's what you're making money on. And I think that's the wrong side of history to be on. That's just my opinion. You know, you could, again, there's tons of money in killing other people and just taking their stuff, exploiting them, etc. There's always money in that. I think we can do better than that. That's all. I use people like Scott Dilbeck and Jacob Fuller and Scotty Johnson and all those guys as examples, just because they're in this field and you can see obvious exploitations on their part of the public and the marketing of their products. They shouldn't take it personal, but that's part of the process of being a public figure, and me included. If somebody has some sort of critique of me, fucking make it. I want to be good. I want to be better than these other guys. So, and for me, if the quest for greatness or the quest for popularity or doing something that is good for the public, if that's the cost of it, that's cheap. That's super cheap. I'm willing to do that all day long. So fucking bring it on, douchebags. That's what's funny is like that video I posted the other day of that douchebag. I've been sitting on that for a while, by the way. That's why I put Happy New Year, because it was around New Year. But guys like that are a dime a dozen. So, and just so you know, that guy, I spent half the day working with him, taking his garbage in on trade to give him what he wanted. And then at the end, he wanted to like say, nope, I changed my mind. I'm like, nope. I'm like, this thing's good. His complaint was that it couldn't play all day long. And I said, well, that's because it's extracting too much electricity from your shitty truck, and your shitty truck has shitty batteries, and you're too cheap to, upgrade the batteries or the electrical system. He probably also, the reason why he needed more space in his vehicle was probably because he knocked up some dumb girl, and now she's going to tell him what to do, and they need room for strollers and all that kind of stuff. And he realized that he spent too much money, even though I think he only spent under $200 with his trade for all that I gave him. And but again, those guys are cowards, and rather than owning up to their mistakes, they'd rather threaten and bully nice people like me, who give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, when you come in here, I don't know that you're a child molester. I don't know that you're an armed robber. I don't know any of that. I just give you a chance. And then when you fuck it up, what do you know? I ask you to leave. I go, no, get out of here. I can tell you're a piece of shit. You got to go. And then if you get upset about it, I'm like, I don't give a shit. That's why I film it. And I only film the shitty ones. I don't film all the friendly ones. The guys that are like, hey, thanks, Patrick. You saved me a bunch of money. Hey, you even put me in a position where I can keep the system for 6 months or a year and sell it at a profit, right? I don't record those guys. If anything, I just, send them a little link to the Google review, and I say, hey, if you feel like I've earned it, please leave me 5 stars. And I ask for what I want, which is 5 stars. And that's why when you look at the reviews, it's mostly 5 stars. So, because I do a lot of good work. But, there's nothing you can do about that 1% of turkeys. So there's just turkeys. There's just a population of turkeys, and sometimes, especially if you give everybody a fair shot to be turkey free, then they prove you wrong. You're like, oh, you're a turkey. That's okay. Don't take it personal. They just act like a turkey all the time, and you just gotta get out of here. Shoo, scat, and then you gotta watch them scatter. So, but that's my short review of the Rockville Destroyer. It's a really good sub. I think the price just in the last 18 months, 24 months, it's gone up quite a bit. If you can pick these up for like $200, $250, they're a good deal. But again, what are you going to do with that? I mean, if you're just consuming, then that's okay. It just makes your spouse less pissed at you. It's better if you consume and use products that you can resell later, right? That's where I found the magic is. So one of the first deals I did was I was in the military. This guy Scott, he bought a Honda from somebody else on base, and there was a Punch 60 in there, and this was in 1995. So this is a Punch 60 DSM. The full range one before they put the crossover cards in them. And, which I think was, no, they had, the DSM model, which it just had EQ on it. It didn't have crossover on it. And so it was a very expensive amp, especially at the time. And I sat on it for like 18 months, and I used it for my home audio there in my condo that the Air Force provided me. And it worked great, and then I sold it at a profit. And I was like, man, if only I could do this all the time. And so that's where the quest becomes about finding goods, services, whatever, at a discount. It's out there and it's available, but it's tough to find a reliable supply. So, but there's plenty of deals out there. Like I told you the other day about the buying the used subwoofer, home audio subwoofer things, and then you sell the plate amp, and then you just put a board over the hole, and then make it a car audio subwoofer for cheap, because basically you make all your profit on the amplifier section, and then everything else is free money, and then plus you're able to sell a little 2-channel if you get that as well. And again, you can get those 2 channels from me. I sell them for $40 shipped. Even though it's funny, the listing that I had on Facebook Marketplace, I had them for $40 all the time, and they just stopped selling. And so sometimes you have to pull the picture down and make a new post. You want to take new pictures too, because the AI software in Facebook will sort of flag it as this is a loser. It doesn't sell. And sometimes they'll flag you and say, you know, hey, you've already posted this before, blah, blah, blah. So you want to take fresh pictures. But now I posted it at $50, which is actually what market price is for those amplifiers. And then these guys come in and they're like, I'll give you 45. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm still doing another $5 positive on each of those. But, and that just tells you about the market, about these guys that come in and, you know, they're predators, and they're looking for, you know, some old lady that her husband died, and, you know, they're selling, like, you know, something really rare that you get for cheap. So, which again, I do the same thing. I go in and, like, there was a B&W Bauer and Wilkins center channel that I got for $50 the other day, and I didn't even lowball them. I was like, yeah, $50 is really cheap. I could probably sell the parts as replacement parts on eBay for about $200, $250. And so there's plenty of margin on there for me to do that with. But there's deals like that. They're just not consistent. And that's why when you get into manufacturing and having your own brand, you want to have a consistent supply of affordable equipment. And then the value that you're bringing to it is that you're importing it, or you're constructing it, however you're adding value to it. And then you want to give that value, you want to give some of it, you want to share some of it with whoever's buying it. And that's why it's always best to buy from or sell to a distributor of sorts, or somebody that's reselling. Because if they're just consuming, it's a dead end. They're going to buy what they're going to buy, and then they're going to keep it for 3 to 5 years, and then, you know, whatever, they get drunk, crash the car, go to jail, whatever, and then they sell it back for cheap. That's an inconsistent cash flow model. So you want to have other hustlers out there, you know, making money for you. And what it really is a Ponzi scheme. So, but and who pays the very bottom of that, the highest? And taxes are scheduled this way as well, where the people on the bottom, the poorest people of the pyramid, pay the most taxes. Same thing with the Ponzi scheme. The people that are on the bottom, which is the consumers, pay the most. So, and then you go, well, Patrick, you don't want to be involved in a Ponzi scheme. And you're like, you're always involved in a Ponzi scheme, whether you like it or not. And so if you're going to be involved in a Ponzi scheme, you might as well be in one that gives people more value than, say, the Sundown Ponzi scheme, or the, you know, SMD Ponzi scheme. So there's nothing wrong with what they do. It's just that if you can do it better for cheaper, fucking do it. Nothing. There's nobody stopping you. So it's like, even if you talk trash about somebody like Def Bounce, you know, oh, they're run by Russian mafia. It's like, so what? So what? What are they going to do? Kill you over talking trash about their dumb products? You know, fucking do it. You're going to die anyway. So you might as well die doing something cool. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. The weekend's here. I got to pack a bunch of orders today. Today is Friday. And we got to get a bunch of stuff out for the weekend. I got the John Locke's 24-inch done. I think we're going to do the front gasket today. I'll probably do some video of that. But I wanted to do this before we finished it. And then some other ones to follow up. But thanks for watching. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.